Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hallmark Guy podcast. I am Baptiste, the Hallmark Guy. And this episode, we are here to talk about week 5 of Hallmark Channel's Countdown to Christmas. It's crazy to think that we're already in week 5. I'm recording right now on November 18th. I think Countdown to Christmas started October 17th, so it's crazy to think that we're already more than a month in. Especially since we're getting less movies this year, I feel like every movie is much more of an event because we have to enjoy the ones we had. Yeah, we're going to talk about week 5. Before we get started, you might notice the background has changed. I have decorated for Christmas. So after watching Three Wisest Men on Saturday, got all the Christmas stuff out, took all the Christmas stuff of the fall stuff down, put the Christmas stuff in, and I was just so excited to be celebrating Christmas. It looks I'm every time I'm on the couch watching TV, I'm like elevated feels so Christmassy. So yeah, new background for the coming month. Um, before we get into the movie, so we're going to talk about the two movies for week 5 and a little bit of reality shows, or Monday reality TV shows. Unfortunately, still not caught up on Mistletoe Murders. I still have to watch the two final episodes of season 1, but the goal is to be caught up on everything Mistletoe Murders before the end of the season, of the Christmas season. But yeah, so we won't talk about Mistletoe Murders yet, again, but we have two great movies to talk about and just a little few things about reality shows. Um, I will say two things before we go into the first movie. I feel like I could recap Weekend 5 in a few words. I was gonna say two, but I don't want to count how many words, so two would be wrong. So I think I would just say 4 stars and kids. That's 3 words. Could have told you that. But anyway, let's start with our first movie of week 5, which was Three Wisest Men, and it premiered Saturday, November 15th at 8 Central on Hallmark Channel. And it starred Andrew Walker, Tyler Hines, Paul Campbell, Margaret Collin, and Miles Marthaler, with also a lot of, what's the right word? Like secondary character, I guess. We had Fiona Room, Erin Carpluck, Nicole Major, Lachlan Monroe, Ali Liebert made her comeback for this one. She wasn't in Three Wiser Men and a Boy. So Three Wisest Men starts with Luke is expecting twins, um, and he's getting ready for that. They should be born like any minute now. And Thomas, so his son, wants to go sledding, but they're too focused on the baby, so he feels left out. Over at Stefan, he is getting ready to marry Susie, but he cannot make a decision on the wedding. Like silverware, venue, DJ, cannot choose a thing. Like he's saying, "Oh yeah, what? Let's go with that." But, oh, but what about that? And for Taylor, Taylor is in Silicon Valley. He's getting someone is proposing, and someone named Noah is proposing him to be partner with under one condition, no suits. Um, but Taylor didn't think that they would make him come here and they would make him move here. Back to Luke. Luke and I am totally blanking on her name right now. Luke and Sophie are going to prenatal classes, like to get ready, and they get scared. The person who is that has 3 kids, she's truly tired, and her husband is in the back, and you can see that they're struggling. So they get scared at that group. Back at Steven's house, there's a leak, so well, they're gonna have to deal with that. And back to Taylor when he's thinking about everything at Silicon Valley. Fiona, who he got back together with in the first movie, um, is back. We didn't know where she went in in the second movie. She's there, and she tells him that she's the one who referred him for the job. And well, he's doesn't know what to do, what to say. He just leaves. Um, for Luke, so Luke is still stressed about the twins, but his wife reassures him. um, saying that he will be great. For Stefan, things are just not going great with the leak, and they're talking about Susie's dad, and he says, "Your dad doesn't like me um, because he clearly told me I don't like you." Taylor gets back to Seattle and tells his girlfriend, Caroline, if I'm not wrong. The thing is that I took so many notes and I didn't remember some of the characters' names, and then they only mentioned their names like at the end of the movie, and so I'm sorry about that. But it just tells his girlfriend Caroline says, "Well, how did it go?" And he says, "Well, they want a partner," but doesn't tell her they want me to move to the San Francisco area. Stefan has to move back home with his mom because of the leak. And everyone just gathers at home. Luke is at home, is at his mom's home, and Taylor comes and gives Thomas a drone, and they're like, it's too expensive of a gift. And they're like, if I want to give him a gift, I give him what I want. And Thomas throws a paper, um, like a wallpaper at them, and when they open it, they realize that it's an ad and that their mom is selling the house. They all turn to Stefan because they know he's the emotional, dramatic one, and he's like, I'm fine with it." Mom says the house is too big for one person, and Tilly says, "Well, technically it's two persons. I live in the basement." But they all support her, and they say that they gotta have um, an awesome last Christmas in the house. Susie's dad, Bob, shows up. Um, he's here from Arizona, and here to spend Christmas together. And he takes Luke for Stefan, so they have to say, "No, that's not Stefan." And he's brought with him his Australian Lutino cockatiel named Jerry, which I didn't know those birds. And says that Jerry is a very good judge of character, and who Jerry tells Stefan that he's a loser. So great start for Stefan with Bob. They say that Jerry gets the guest house where Stefan lived, and he says he doesn't like that Stefan moved out not too long ago because what does that say about you? Caroline tells Taylor that they should get a place together. That it's a sign that since the mom is selling the house, it's a sign they should get a place together. And he tells her about San Francisco. Stefan comes down to the basement and says that he wants the basement, and he gets it winning with playing rock paper scissors. At dinner, we learned that Bob was in the military in the Delta Force, and now industrial tooling and forged drill bits. Um, and he doesn't like that He doesn't like that Stefan is the one planning the wedding. Uh, so they all get to talking, and like I said earlier, they decided to have the best Christmas ever in the house. The next day, Stefan gets Bob to go Christmas shopping, and on their way out, Susie tells Stefan that she forgot her purse. So Stefan goes back inside. Jerry tells Stefan that he's a loser, and Stefan says it back to him. And at that point, Jerry falls. Um, and so Stefan is worried. He opens the cage, tries to like vent. He opens the to do like air over him. He opens the window. He says like, come on, Jerry, Jerry." He tries to call for help. And when he goes back to the cage is empty, and Jerry's on the threshold of the window and just flies away. Um, for so that big problem. So his girlfriend thinks that moving together is perfect, and she has plans. Um, but Taylor said that he's surprised and not excited, and that he has doubts, and she thinks it's about her. So not good for Taylor either. Luke's wife get Braxton Hicks contraction while waiting in line to meet Santa at the mall. So the guys have to take over. Stefan and Luke, Stefan and Taylor have to take over, and they basically bully an elf. The elf is about to close right when it's Thomas's turn to get a picture with Senna, and they kind of bully him to get them to let him Thomas get a picture. Let Thomas get a picture. So since there's the Braxton Hicks contraction, they all decide when she has to stay off her feet. Luke and his wife and Thomas um, are going to stay also at the mom's house. So the whole family is staying at the house at that point. Um, Luke at work. Thomas is disappointed. I'm sorry, because Luke has things to deal with. The mom can go with him. He wants to go sledding. No one can take him. At work, Luke takes care of the three kids of his colleagues, and it's just mayhem. So that does not reassure him on the fact that he's going to be capable of taking care of three kids. Taylor is still unsure about the position in Silicon Valley, so Noah says that he'll get him an apartment as a signing bonus, but he needed an answer before Christmas. Luke gets a call that Thomas pushed a kid at the park, and the brothers just don't agree on how to handle it. Luke wants to punish Thomas, and the uncles, of course, are nicer. And Luke tells Thomas to go to his room, and Thomas says, "I don't have a room anymore. Gigi's selling the house." And Luke had to come from work for that, and he was taking care of the three kids, and he had makeup all over his face, like that drawn on his face. And the brothers start bickering and like touching each other's face and all that. And the mom says, "Let's calm down, let's bake cookies," and they start having a flower fight. Um, Luke is scared because his dad left uh, when he had three kids. He said, "We were three kids and dad left." And like, what if I do the same thing dad did? And his mom says he didn't leave because of the three kids. He left because he gave up on himself. And you're different. Luke goes to see Thomas and apologizes. But Thomas says he feels forgotten and scared that he will be forgotten because of the twins. Um, so, of course, it's sad. And when talking about the house being for sale, Thomas tells Taylor, but you won't go far, right? Which, of course, helps Taylor in his decision making about Silicon Valley. But the next day, Luke says, "You know what? Let's play hooky from work." Tells his brother, "I'll play hooky from work, and we'll cross things off our best Christmas ever list that we have." And the first thing they do is they need to go get a tree. And Luke tells Bob that they chop trees, that they go in the forest and they get a tree, and that Stefan does all the work. Of course, they don't do that. They go buy a pre-cut tree and go to Taylor's girlfriend, so Caroline's place of work. Um, Thomas holds a sign that says, "He doesn't deserve you." That was really funny. And he ask her to come decorate the tree and to forgive Taylor for being a big dummy. Says Taylor says that he has ideas for their future and he would like to hear her recommendations. Um, they get home and they still tell Bob that Stefan cut down the tree, and Bob said it's actually a good job. While they're all there for the tree, Jerry comes back and says that Stefan left him out of his cage. And at that point, they don't even have time to react. Someone screams, I think Bob screams, "Rodent!" And so it's mayhem all over the house. Everyone's scared, everyone panics. Bob gets on the coffee table. Luke's tackles the tree falls. Luke finally catches the rodent that's a guinea pig, and Thomas says Christmas is ruined and leaves. And at that point, Fiona shows up and Taylor faints. So we're at the hospital. Bob is on one bed because he says that he's been bit by the guinea pig, and Taylor is on the other bed, of course, after fainting. And that's when our favorite doctor, Dr. McLaurin, played by Kimberly Sastad, who co-wrote the movies, shows up. And it's a very funny situation of back and forth where Taylor's going to say, he saw Fiona in San Francisco. So like Stefan slides to him, he's like, "What?" And then he slides back to Bob for something else, and then slide back to Taylor. Fiona broke his because says Fiona broke his. He tells to tell Caroline that Fiona broke his heart, and it's a very very funny situation. Um, we then learn the doctor tells Bob that he wasn't bit by a rodent, that he was just actually stuck on a Christmas ornament. Um, and well, Taylor's feeling better, and he says that he has talked with the family, that he does not think he can leave his family, and his mom says they will figure it out. He can move to San Francisco as long as he keeps in touch, and that now they have to keep to put Christmas back on track. Um, they decorate the whole house, reminiscing, and there's a very. I don't think they could have made it more obvious product placement with home goods bags, and then taking things out of the bags. And they talk about who used to put the star at the top of the tree, and there's a cute moment where Luke raises Taylor so that he put the star on the tree. Stefan can do it because he gets sick and vomits. At that point, Bob has decided that he doesn't want to stay at the home anymore, and he leaves to a hotel because there's too much going on in the house. Taylor meets Fiona and asks her for answers. Um, when she left, when she come back, and she thinks he's the best. And Taylor tells her that he has worked hard and built a new life that he would like to keep, so that if he accepts to go to the Silicon Valley, she needs to be okay with that, and she promises that there will be no more problems. Luke apologizes to Sophie about the animal in the tree, which, of course, kind of gave it away that they didn't cut the tree because they got it from a very sketchy guy behind them all. And he tells her that he will fix things with Thomas and that he is grateful for her, and he promises he will never become um, Tim, the husband from the lady that was doing the prenatal class. And she offers him his anniversary gift, and he forgot. He was too stressed, too focused on other things, and forgot to buy her a gift. And he says, "Well, I'm becoming Tim." We find Luke by himself drinking in the garage, and his brothers come see him, and they all comfort each other about the different situation. Taylor and Stefan tell him that he's impressive and the best that a kid could ask for, and Taylor tells him that he made him believe in fathers again, and that maybe one day he could do it to be a father, and then tell him that he is his best friend. And they are his best friend, and Stefan tells him to not let fear run his life, like he let fear run his, like for the I'd say yeah the first two movies, and kind of also that one. And they tell Luke that he will fix things with Sophie. Um, and they get started. They look at the list and say, "Well, right, like let's get to work on fixing all this." Um, they with the first thing on the list, what does Thomas want for Christmas? And they don't know because he told Santa, but he didn't tell. They don't know, so they go back to the mall to know what he wants, and of course they find the elf that they bullied, and we realize that the elf is the musical director from last year's movie that had to quit basically because it was too much, and then the brothers took over from Thomas's play, and he took a year to reset after they ruined his life. And when he came back, they had hired somebody else, so he refuses to tell them what Thomas wants for Christmas. So they try but he has everything written on the board, so they try to take his board and they fight for it. And when the guy takes it back, with all the force, he's just pushed into the decor and everything falls down. Uh, he's pissed that he goes out and you know what Thomas wants? He wants that robot. And you know what I'm telling you what he wants, because everyone wants that robot and I know you will never get it. The boys get thrown out of the mall and they are in the back of the mall, and Mark Clark shows up and he wants the exact same robot, but he has a plan. So, but since the guys cannot go back into the mall, he says, "Well, we're gonna get you in unnoticed." So he dresses the brother up in like Christmas suits, and he's dressed up, I think, in a gingerbread man costume. He doesn't have to dress up, but he says, "I do it for fun." They go to the store. Mark gets a robot. And while the boys are looking for another one, Caroline calls Taylor. Luke finds one box, but the box is empty and the rod is actually on the floor, and he has to fight with a woman to get it. And so they fall in the ball pit. And what's really funny is you have just Taylor with his back turned, not knowing what's happening, on the phone doing something serious. And then when he turns around, he says, Taylor, Stefan had joined at that point, and when he turns around, he realizes how I know how important it is, and I'm sorry I'm having to do that, but I'm gonna have to call you back. And goes in the ball pit. They get the robot, but the security finds them and throws them in jail. So no robot and time in jail. They have a family reunion, like sit down at the house with Susie to say that Bob is coming for dinner, and Barb, the mom, says that they need to be nice and normal for dinner. And Taylor says, "So we fake it." um, and Susie talks to Stefan and says that this is just too much. She wants to marry him, but it's just too much, and maybe they should postpone the wedding. Uh, at dinner, Bob says that he's just been sitting around in his hotel room because he can't move much because of his foot. Thomas tells him about the jail, and Bob says, "Well, if this week is an indication of how the wedding will go, um, that we're in for a bad run." And Stefan says, "Well, you don't have to worry about it because it's on pause." And Bob says it's probably for the best, and that gets Barb pissed. She says that his brothers love him, and and that they love each other and support each other, that they're not perfect, but that Stefan loves his daughter, and he has tried all week to get his approval. And that maybe he's not the most manly, but he has such a big heart, and the love he has for Susie does not need his approval. And at that point, Susie's touching kind of grabs Stefan's hand. Uh, but the whole thing, then it's short lived because the twins are coming. So they all rush to the hospital. And at the hospital, Bob shows up with cookies for everyone and apologizes. He says he's been unfair to Stefan, and then he has had a hard time sharing his little girl. But he knows that Stefan loves her, and that is all that matters. And he will be honored to call him his son in law and be part of this spirited family. Stefan is, of course, touched and wants to hug him. It's too soon, so they just handshake. Luke comes out with the girl with the I just gave it away. Comes out with the two babies and announces that they're girls, and you can see that he's choked up. Um, and Stefan says, "Are you sure they're girls?" And Taylor says, "Well, there's a way to try. There's a way to tell. I'll explain it to you later." Luke is no longer scared. He's excited for three. And Kimberly says that Dr. Lauren, um, says, well, three is the magic number. Nothing like a trilogy to make people happy. Am I right? Which talks about babies, but also the movies that she's been co-writing with Paul Campbell. Barb says that moments don't get better than this, and Stefan agrees, and he wants to prove to Susie that he's more than in his own way, and he says, "Let's get married right now." And she agrees, and so Taylor calls his girlfriend and says, "Come to the hospital. You're not going to want to miss this." Um, they they said, "Well, where are we going to get a dress?" Bob says, "I'll go get your dress." Seven says, "Where are we going to get tuxedos?" And there's a band right there, so they get their tuxes. And said, "Well, who's going to marry us?" And Roy, Barb's boyfriend, shows up and says, "I can." So we see them all in the chapel. Sophie is even here after giving birth to twins. That I didn't really understand how that's possible. Props to her. Um, Luke offers her anniversary gift, which is an eternity ring with five diamonds, each for one of them, with the three kids, Luke and her. Caroline comes and Taylor says that he doesn't want to be afraid anymore and asks her to move to San Francisco. But he does it on a way that he's on his knees, looked like a proposal. And he tells her that he was never unsure about her and just didn't know if he could do it without his family. And she agrees to go with him. The band, who were actually patients at the hospital, they all hurt. I don't know what they have, but like bandages. They're not in tuxedos, but they They play music for the wedding. They get married in front of the family and the hospital staff. And in the background, Mark just shows up and like drops off a robot on the ground. And they were like, "Well, why how that happen?" And that was the end of the movie, not the extended cut, the Hallmark Channel cut. Um, Three Wisest Men and Three Wisest Men. That's it, actually. I really like the movie. I think you kind of guessed it at the beginning of the episode when I said 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars. I would say, and I'll read the letterbox review after, but I would say it is the weakest of the three. I think if I rank them, Three Wisest Men and a Boy would be number one, Three Wise Men and a Baby would be number two, and Three Wisest Men would be number three. But it is still fantastic. It is still full of comedy, and it is co-written by Russell Henline, who we talked about 2 weeks ago, who wrote The Santa Claus, In Merry Measure, The Santa Summit, Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. So again, the same thing. The movie has heart. The movie has love. The movie has comedy, and that's a big thing. And it's so special for Hallmark having these three Hallmark powerhouses and Hallmark staples band together to do this movie. Of course, makes the movie so special. What Miles Marteller, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his last name right. I love him. I loved him in the second movie. Love him in that one. I think he's really talented and brought such a cuteness to the movie. I wish we could have seen more of him. Kimberly Sestad, I just like I said 2 weeks ago, she has become one of my favorite Hallmark leading ladies. And I'm just so happy when she shows up in the movies and the way they find a way to integrate her in the movie. And in the first one, they were the hospital for Thomas. I don't remember why. I wanted to rewatch the two movies before watching that one. I didn't have time. What I will try to do, because I haven't watched the extended cut yet, but I will try to do watch number one, number two before I watch the extended cut this Christmas season. But anyway, in the number one, in the first one, she says they tell her something at the hospital, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well, you could you couldn't even write that, right? Like, how could you write that?" And she wrote like, if it's three guys and a baby, you couldn't even write that. And I mean, she co-wrote the movie. In in the second movie, I think she says something about sequels, like sequels are always better or something. And in my case, I thought it was better, even though I love the first one. And on that one, when she says, three is the magic number, nothing like a trilogy to make people happy. Am I right? It's such a nod. And Stefan, so Paul, who co-wrote the movie as well, just said last like, huh. And it's just those little nods to we know the context of what we're doing right now. We know what we've done for that movie, and it's just those little nods like kind of breaking the fourth wall that I loved, and it makes me so happy. Was so happy to see Kimberly in the movie. I think that was really surprised when I saw Lachlan Monroe. First of all, because I saw his name in the title at the beginning, and in my mind, I pictured Steve Basic from the Aristotle Mysteries. So I was surprised when he showed up, and he looks so different from the time. I mean, his hair, he has white hair now, gray hair. So I was like, and I was surprised. We've seen him play the dad, and I've seen him play dad in Riverdale, but of teenagers. So I think it was the first time I saw him play basically someone that would be in like what late 50s, probably 60s. So that was I was surprised. It was good to see him there. Was surprised when I saw Ali Liebert's name in the titles at the beginning. Was good to have her back. My criticism of the movie number two was I wish we'd known what happened between her and Stefan. We did, but she was in like we did in this movie, but she was in like three scenes, something like that. So it kind of felt like looking back, it kind of felt like unless there's more in the extended cut and I haven't seen it, but it kind of felt like they brought her in just to bring her in to create drama, but that didn't really happen actually, because I don't think Caroline cared that much about her. It was mostly on Taylor's side, but kind of explain. But I wish we would have had more because I feel like she was here just to be here, kind of. The office in Silicon Valley is, and I mentioned it last week, is so it was last week's airport in Christmas Above the Clouds. It was another Hallmark movie, so another familiar setting for us. Um, One thing though is that I forgot the movie was taking place in Seattle. So when Taylor is thinking about moving to San Francisco and Silicon Valley, I just see him on like having to move to the other side of the country. And then towards the end of the movie, when they remind you of like it's Seattle and he's moving down to San Francisco, it's still not like pretty close, but I mean it's still the same coast and could be way farther. I was like, oh, that's that. Yeah, they're not. It's not moving the other way, all the way around across the country. Um, the product placement in this is amazing for the brands. Amazing for the brands. Um, it's really obvious. I mean, the when they take the home goods bag, they talked about it, and then they take everything out of the bag to show kind of there. And then at dinner, when mom shows up and holds the King's Hawaiian rolls package like that, like no one would hold. She just brings it up like that, and there's like a they stop for a second so that we're sure to see the brand. I mean, props to them for getting the money from the brands. I just thought it was pretty funny. And it always, I know when it's done, but every time I'm seeing like, every time I see one, I thought, do they think we're not gonna notice? Do they think it's just part of the movie? Uh, so that's just there were two pretty um, obvious ones in this movie. But overall, it was good to see the Brenner brothers again, probably for the last time. Maybe in 10 years they could do another one, but for now, they've announced that it was the last time. It was again something so special, I feel, for Hallmark. I feel like it came out practically at the same time as the Wedding Veil trilogy. So we had the Hallmark girls female powerhouse band together with for these movies, and then we had the guys for these movies. Um, I feel like, and it's not a dig at Paul Campbell at all. I love him, and I think he was on Hallmark before. Well, for sure before Tyler Hines, and I don't know about Andrew. Maybe they came out in together at the same time, probably. But it kind of made Paul an even bigger Hallmark star. I think that Andrew and Tyler had acquired that status already, and Paul was like that. They were so high on the list. They were like powerhouse. They were the just yeah superstars, and he was star. And I think that that movie made him superstar with them. And you see it this for the first 2 years when they did the Three Wise Men movies those years, Tyler and Andrew both had another movie. Paul did not. This year, they all have other movies to go with it. And I'm saying movies because Andrew is having his movie with Lacey Chabert. She's making a list, and he is. I don't know if it's cameo, but he's in Holiday Touchdown, a Bill's Love Story. So I feel like it was really beneficial for Hallmark because it was something so special and so different, and it was beneficial for the boys because it's probably, I would say, I think maybe the biggest franchise. I mean, well, they have their mystery franchises, but for Christmas like that franchise that they've made in a big part because of the story and because of who's starting these movies and the love people have for these guys. I'll finish with my letterbox review. So I gave it 4 stars, and I said even if it is the weakest, and I used air quotes, one out of the three, it is just so good. I just couldn't help myself from crying at the end, and that's true. I didn't talk about that. Um, yeah, in the end, yeah, I just know with that wedding and everything that they had to overcome, and knowing it was the end, and it's just that happy moment. I just couldn't help. I was crying, and I said. use the applause emoji to the whole cast and crew on this wonderful trilogy. So that was Three Wise Men. It premiered on Saturday, and on Sunday we had Tidings for the Season, which premiered on Sunday, November 16th at 8/7 Central on Hallmark Channel, and it starred Timur Murray Housley, B.J. Britt, and Elijah Justice Lewis. Hope I pronounced all of that right. So the movie Adam Cade is a news anchor at KCYD in Minneapolis, and Robbie Sullivan, he's a little kid who wants to be Adam and takes every opportunity he has to wear a suit at all time and to just interview people. He goes out on to go to school and stops in front of his snowman and asks a question. Um, Having a carrot nose, like, does it mean that everything smells like carrot? And I thought that's actually a very clever question. I wish we could get that answer. Anyway, his mom Lucy is a divorced hairdresser, and she is tired of Adam. She's tired of seeing him on TV. She gets to the salon and just turns the TV off. And she also doesn't have time to date. Robbie suggested that his class take a class trip to KCYD. So they get there, and Adam doesn't want to talk to the kids. The kids get so they go into the studio, and the class is just not interested. They're not excited, but Robbie is. They leave the studio when the show's about to start. They go to the control room, but Robbie sneaks out from the class to watch. It's actually not a show; it's a promo to watch Adam from a promo. And joins him on set. He sits on the chair next to him, and he asks him why he's always he if he always wear that much makeup and why he never smiles why he never smiled. His teacher says, oh my god, I'm gonna go get him, and I think he's like the boss of the station. Something said, well, no, let him. And so Robbie continues asking questions, asking like, is it your job to make people feel bad about the world? Because it's what my mom says. She says she always turns off the TV because yeah, you're always bad news. Like, why don't you ever report on happy news? So that leaves Adam kind of confused and questioning himself. So we see him with his mentor, who's actually doing what she was actually a news anchor before, and then she became a teacher, and she's now kind of his mentor. And he's concerned about Robbie's comments, but she tells him that there's an opening at WQM in Chicago, which is a bigger market, um, and that people are kind of interested in him, and that he should contact them. Back at the station, um, Robbie forgot his binder under the news desk, and there's his address on it. And Adam's colleague suggests that I should take Robbie under his wing as an intern. Um, Adam, of course, at first says no, and he tells, well, for Christmas, you should do it. And Adam doesn't like Christmas, but he finally agrees. And his colleague tells him, well, go tell him the good news while bringing his binder. Uh, so he gets to Robbie's home. They open the door. They're surprised to see him there. It's like, why is Adam Cade here? And he proposes a week, during a week, for Robbie to follow him, see how a newsroom works. But Lucy says that she needs to think about it because she's not sure she wants him in this business. Plus, she is busy, so with a lot of Christmas stuff. So Adam almost leaves, but Robbie comes out and says, "No, Mom, I want to do it. It's my Christmas wish." So Lucy kind of has to say yes. But Adam tells Robbie, "You better be ready to learn." And Robbie says, "Well, you too, because Mom said I could teach you a thing or two about being a news anchor." Robbie gets to the station and he's just smiling and saying hello to everybody. And he tells that here in school that a smile is the universal greeting and that Adam should try it. Um, Robbie sits on the news anchor chair, even though Adam says not do it. But so when he finally tries to host something, he doesn't know what to say. Um, and he's just so honest about and kind of boring. He's so honest about it, saying like, "Well, today it's gonna be cold," and then that news story is boring. So Adam kind of whispers things to say, and they all applaud him, and you can see that Adam starts to like him, and everyone starts to like him, and like Robbie is growing on Adam. Adam gets a call from the general manager. No, sorry. His mentor, Adam's mentor, tells him that he should expect a call from the general manager of the Chicago station. Robbie tells Adam that there's no happy story in the rundown, and that Adam tells him, well, yeah, because they're small stories, they're small human interest stories, and that kind of tells him they're not important. And Robbie says, well, why can't happy stories be important? There's a story about the charity Angel Gifts, which is a charity um, that buys presents for kids in need, that Robbie and his mom are helping there, and um, he said, well, I already reported on it, but again, it was a small human interest story. And Robbie says, well, why can't it be big? Lucy shows up on set because Robbie's late. He was supposed to leave at 5 p.m. because she was supposed to get him ready, like get home, cook, get him ready for bed. But of course, Robbie doesn't want to leave, and says, I hope it doesn't have to be goodbye. And so Adam says, you know what? Why don't you stay for the taping of the show? And then I'll take you guys for dinner so you don't have to cook. You'll love the view, and Robbie will love it too. Dinner is actually on the set of their more like talk show part of the news, with the background like a view like from a penthouse or something. So that was the nice view. And they're having pizza. They tell Adam that he needs more color in his wardrobe, and that maybe that will make Lucy watch the news. Um, and because she doesn't have time right now, and she's not going to take the time uh, if it's just to see something to be reminded of all the bad things that are going on in the world. Robbie go gets his backpack in the control room, and so Lucy and Adam kind of have a heart to heart, and she tells him that people are more than just what they do, and that hearing what is newsworthy and facts without heart won't get her to tune in. She needs to feel why a story matters, which so it makes him reflect on everything, and he asks if he should um, his mentor if he should get uh, brighter suits. Robbie and his mom go shopping, and Robbie says that he wants another Alamcade suit, so it means a gray suit. And while he's trying it on, Adam is actually in the next fitting room, trying on a more colorful one, and he agrees to help Robbie practice for his Christmas concert. And Robbie invites him to Angel Gifts, and Mom Lucy says that he's the perfect place to see the good in the world. So Adam goes there, and he helps packing presents and just and giving presents, and see how that what that charity means to people. And he decides to dig in more, and find out more and make it more of a human story. But his colleague the judge says that it's a soft story, and that those stories don't keep people engaged, and so don't change what we're doing because we want to lose viewers. um, Adam asked his mentor if she has ever pushed back on producers' wishes for a story, and she says a few times, but you gotta find why it matters. Adam learns that he's shortlisted for the Chicago desk, but he is not happy because to know that he can get the job, he wants to know how to become great. Um, so they only aired one story about Angel Gift, and when Robbie asks again, will there be a follow-up? Adam says no, we had to cut it. So Robbie's sad. Um, but Lucy congratulates him on the way he treated the story, says that there is more to him. And while on the air, reading the story, Adam just thinks about all that, and he blanks. And on a sad story, and he kind of switch and decides to talk about Angel Gift, and how it is a bright spot and it brings smiles. Of course, his colleague is pissed because He told him not to do it, and the reason he did that is because the parent company, wants to make cut, and he doesn't want to change direction, and take make to the station, and make changes, that because Happy Story will make people tune out. So he says, you know what? It's been a while since you've taken a vacation. He encourages Adam to take a vacation. So the next morning, we see Robbie trying to video call Adam, and so we see Adam at his house, and and Adam's house is not decorated. So Robbie tells him that he needs Christmas decoration, uh, and needs to get working for Christmas. And he invites him to decorate for the Christmas play. So while at school, Adam is helping putting like building sets, and someone thanks him for the piece on angel gifts, and says and for reminding everybody there is good in the world, um, and that it did not feel like the news. Uh, and Adam says it's the first time that someone came up to me and say something so nice. And Lucy says that he made quite an impression on many people, but she clearly means on me. Robbie asked if he, instead of singing at the Christmas concert, if he can be a news anchor and tell a Christmas story, and Adam agrees to help him for that. Adam says that he had forgotten how fun it was to decorate and that he had not done it since he was a kid. So they go to his place and they decorate. Um, there's this montage of them decorating. Then Robbie falls asleep, and so Adam and Lucy get talking. And Adam says he doesn't see family often, and that Christmas used to be his favorite holiday. And Lucy said it's not never too late to find his way back to things that matter. She says that maybe he's already actually finding his way. She thanks him for today and said that he thanks her for today and said that he meant something to him. And they have a moment, and she says I should probably go. Robbie gets a call from his colleague that said that the Angel Gift segment was the most viewed segment of the year, and he apologizes and says that they should do more deeper, more uplifting news coverage for their holiday shows, and he asked him to come back. Um, at work, Lucy finds herself watching the news, but she has to stay late because someone wants to move an appointment, and her colleague says, well, you should ask Adam to take care of Robbie. She's not sure at first, but she still does it, and he says yes, and he takes Robbie on an assignment about a guy that decorates trees in a park for the 12 days of Christmas because of her long lost love, and he does it for her. And Adam tells Lucy he hopes that every time she needs him, she'll think of him. And he tells her that he wants to show her something. That was after, sorry, when he brings back Robbie, he tells her that, and he said that he wants to show her something, and basically ask her on a date, and they go see the trees. Um, and Lucy says that these stories gave her the idea to give free haircuts once a month to anyone who needs one, um, and that she was right about him finding why stories matter. Um, the next day, Adam shows up to the salon because Lucy said that clients keep her connected to the community. So he comes to get ideas, and he gets a lot. Everyone's around him like, oh, you should call that person and that sister or whatever. Um, and Robbie admits that Chicago is far from his mind. Um, the Christmas tree stories helped reunite the people. A woman calls and says, "You did a story about the woman in red peacoat. I am that woman." So they are able to do follow up on the story with the woman, and Adam invites Lucy and Robbie to his parents' holiday party, but Robbie will be at his dad's. So he said, "Well, Lucy, you should still come with me, and let's date." She says yes, and so they show up to his parents, but it's a surprise. They don't know that is there. But what we realize, and what Anna realizes, is that even though he hasn't seen them in so long and doesn't spend Christmas with them, they still put his stocking on the fireplace, and his parents still think about him. Um, when he takes her back home, he tells Lucy that meeting her and Robbie made him change his views, and that for him at first he thought that being busy meant being important, but now he appreciates the how it slowed down. She also thought she was fine on her own, but now she appreciates having someone. And they kiss. But he gets a phone call, and of course, it's from Chicago. So he takes it and he learns that he has an interview the next day. So he'll be on plane the next morning and says, of course, I'll go. And Lucy hears all of that and she's not happy about it. And he's completely clueless about it, though, because like, no, of course it still matter, and of course it's still something, and I don't know if I'll get the job, and maybe if I get the job, I'll see what I do. But I was like, he's clueless about this. He's clueless, kind of why it's tough for her when you hear that. Um, and Lucy says that she now questions if the new Adam was to get the job, but be appear nicer on TV, more charming. And Adam says, um, that it was real and that she can trust him. And she says, "Well, why did you keep it from me?" And he tells her, "Well, it was not the right time, and he was afraid of what it would mean." And she tells him, "You let us believe it. You let us believe it meant something, and it is but if you leave, you, you're gonna hurt us because it meant nothing then." And says he doesn't know again if he'll leave, but he'll keep his promises. um and she says, "You know what's worse is that you let a little boy believe." And she just gets inside. Robbie is disappointed that Adam's not helping him with his video for the concert, and Lucy explains about Chicago and that they've decided it'd be better to give him space to figure it out, but Robbie doesn't want, of course, Adam to leave. And so, trying to explain to him, Lucy tells him, "Well, Adam is like a Christmas tree or that we get each December. It brings us joy, but it cannot stay forever." And then he has to go. So then we're at the Christmas concert, and Robbie sings on stage, and the concert's over. And then Adam shows up on stage and says, "You know what? No, we're not done." And he wants to do a live segment with Robbie. So they do the sit down interview with Robbie as the host. He asks him about a Christmas wish, and he says that he wishes people can learn from what he did. That Christmas is made by choosing to see the good, even if it is hard at first. And finally, he asks him about the future and Chicago, and Adam just says, "No scoop here. I am staying home. Sometimes the biggest story isn't out there, it's right in front of you. Um, and it will make you want to be the best version of yourself." Robbie signs off and ends the show. And so Lucy goes on stage, and Adam apologizes to Lucy as well. And Lucy doesn't want to be the reason that he walks away from his dream, but he says, "I'm not walking away from it," and that he's finally realizing just what it is. And they kiss. And Robbie is just watching them with a smile. And so that was tidings for this season. I also gave that movie 4 stars. I want to go into broadcasting, so I'll take any movie that takes place in the TV world. I think my biggest tech, I don't know if I had seen a movie with BJ Bright, BJ Bright before. I feel like I did, but he's of course a really great actor. Always, even though he had to play at first a guy that didn't like smiling, like always the biggest smile. I grew up watching Sister Sister reruns, so love to marry Maury Housley. But I think that my shining star, biggest star from this movie is Robbie. Elijah Justice Lewis, amazing, amazing actor. He was so charming, so fun, and he was really, really good. I think that's my biggest, the thing I love the most. Well, the shining star from the movie. The really like highlight of the movie for me. I really liked at the beginning when he asked the question to the snowman, like about carrots. I think it is a really important question, and I would like to get that answer. There's a funny line also when the kids get to the channel. Someone from the channel employee says, "Break out the hand sanitizer. The kids are here." We get our second mention of the air store where Robbie Adam tells his colleague that he owes him. No, his colleague tells him that he owes him because he got him tickets to the air store. And so Adam says, "Well, it was a news event, so I was supposed to be there, and I took your twins, and they were so loud I could barely hear Taylor." I love Taylor Swift's second Air Store joke, like mentioned in 3 weeks. I think the other one was in Merry Christmas, Dead Cooper. Keep them coming. Anyone was really funny. Um, the best views of the city the for the for the dinner. I like the joke that it was actually the background of the set. That was pretty clever and funny. And we had another product placement from, I don't know that I know what Thriven is, but it was a little more subtle, but still like he was interviewing someone and the girl was like, "Thanks to Thriven." It was more subtle, but still you could notice it. A few things I've noticed, they're like, it's a movie, it's not a real TV station. The set for the TV station looked more like a movie set with people sitting, on the cast chairs and like that. I've been in now three news sets, one in France, two in the US. You That's not like that. I'm not even sure you really have people in the studio anymore because cameras, most of them are not operated by someone anymore. They're in the control room, like not the kind of robots. So it's like that. But I liked it because it reminded me of older Hallmark movies and made for TV movies that took place also in the TV world, where they also made the sets like that. And I don't mind it. Make more of the new set, more kind of like movie set. I don't mind it. It's just that's not how it is. Second thing, taking call in the studio about basically you quitting this job and moving to another one with everyone around. I don't think anyone would do that, especially when you're mic'd up. Mic could be off, but like with everyone around, you're not talking about you moving to another job with everyone around. I don't think. Um, for I, I'm studying broadcasts. You are taught that, especially when you start, you're not going to make a fortune. Maybe once you're a news anchor, maybe you make good money. Probably. Yeah, I mean, Minneapolis, yeah, you probably make good money, especially if it's popular. I think though that I don't think you make that money to live in that kind of house, that penthouse. And again, it reminded me of other made-for-TV movies that talk about TV and that make local anchors stars, rich stars, and I don't mind it. It's just I was like, oh, they making him that kind of a local news anchor. He says also when he gets the call, when he gets like the forced vacation, most anchors don't answer phone calls when on vacation. I don't think that's true. I think that it's a business where you know that if the station's calling you, no matter what time you pick up. Um, Another thing I was questioning, like, when does he host? Because so he hosts at night, but we see him do a lot of things at night that are not hosting and him not in the studio. So I'm like, when does he host? And final thing, when he gets to his parents look like they could be his siblings. Like they look as old as him. I was like, they could be a sibling. But I still really, really love that movie. Gave it a 4 out of 5, and my review was, I want to see that kid host the news, and I do. I want to go into broadcasting, so I'll always take a movie about television, and this one was so good. I love Bill Robbie. He was so good. And yeah, that was a 4-star weekend overall for me. Both movies, I got 4 stars. I was excited coming into the weekend because I knew that with the Three Wise Men, we would get something good. And I was excited about a movie taking place in the TV world. And from the preview I had seen, I was like, I knew that I would like Robbie. So, but the week prior, I wasn't excited about the week at all, and I really loved the movie. So I was like, am I too excited? At some point, I got scared, but no, I didn't. I wasn't too excited. I wasn't excited for nothing. It was a really really great weekend. Like I said, I have nothing to say about Mistletoe Murders because I'm not caught up yet. Reality, I got more interested in Baked with Love this week, which is interesting. I kind of have an idea of who might win. I think that with all their comebacks, the couple that expecting a baby, I don't want to say their name wrong, so I'll just say that. I think they might be, at first you'd be like, oh, they might be struggling, but they're making comebacks. The Eiffel Tower was really good. So I feel like they could they could be the winners. And hey, they gave them more time to bake this week. 2 hours and 45 minutes to do the gingerbread. Uh, so yeah. And for I'll say Finding Mr. Christmas, I want one more of Melissa Peterman. She is the fun of the show. I want more of her. I want more of her. I kind of got the idea that who would leave this week. I mean, had been in the bottom two twice, which last week I was like second time in the bottom two and still saved, which was kind of surprising because I didn't feel like the guy that left last week had made that many errors before. But for this week, when it was third time, I was like, yes, it's time to go. Nothing against him, but yeah, I didn't connect with him much. He seemed like a really sweet guy. But yeah, compared to the others, you could see that he wasn't on the exact same level. Um, so yeah, so that's all for this week. We have two new movies coming out this week. Holiday Touchdown, A Bill's Love Story. As a Chiefs fan, of course, despise the Bills, but let me tell you that the trailer looked really good. So we'll see about that. And Sunday, we have Steven Hazard's return to Hallmark. So we'll talk about that next week. Maybe we'll talk Mistletoe Murders. Maybe we won't. I don't know. And now we're going to get also in all the Christmas events that are going to happen. And the Hallmark Christmas experience is going to happen start next week in Kansas City, which I'll be there every day basically. So it'll just be chaos to just like having to watch everything and then to catch up on everything. But I will do it because now I don't have a choice. I want to say I'm contractually obligated. I don't have a contract, but for the fun of it, I'll say I'm contractually obligated by this podcast. Anyway, that was a pretty long podcast, pretty long summaries that I made. I'm not sure how I feel about them. Hope you like them. Hope you like the episode. Like, I feel so weird saying this, but I feel like I have to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.